Bonjour.
Hello and good morning or good evening.
It's
or
evening for
good
us.
Good day.
Yeah, wherever you're at.
We're happy that you're here.
We're happy we made it here.
We are.
Or are we? I don't know.
We're happy to be home.
We're happy to be home, yes.
Yep.
Just a little bit tired.
Yeah, we've spent some time over on the East Coast of the United States, and we will do another episode that talks a lot more about our travels. But what did we get to see during our travels?
So right now, we're not going to talk about it because we are a bit tired and we just don't have the energy to have a long drawn conversation about it. So what we thought we'd talk about was a movie I watched on the plane.
That's what I meant during our travels. That was a terrible way to put it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all good.
But you know how they have awesome new movies on the airplanes, and we got to watch a couple, but we're going to talk about one specifically today because it really
Pardon me for
hit
yawning.
both of us right in our creative hearts.
So we had a layover in Minneapolis on our way to North Carolina, and our first trek of the trip, I didn't take the headphones they offered. So I didn't watch anything. But I saw that they had Elvis on there for new movies. And that's a movie that I have been reluctant to see because I just had no hope for it. I didn't know the actor. I've never seen him in anything. I thought he looked kind of weird, to be honest. Just from like the cover, I haven't seen any trailers or anything.
This is the Elvis Presley biopic by Baz Luhrmann with
Austin Butler.
Austin Butler and Tom Hanks. This is the movie we're talking about for those listening.
So Elvis is the title. And anyways, so I just, because it was free on the way to North Carolina from Minneapolis, I took the headphones and decided that's what I would invest my time in. I do like movies and I do like musicals. So, and I do like Elvis Presley. So I thought I'd give it a shot.
He's an American icon.
Yeah, I just didn't know much about him.
Yeah, me neither.
Really? I knew my mom loved him and I knew little things about him, but I just didn't realize what he had gone through.
Yeah.
So as soon as this movie started, it hits you with, okay, well, actually, pause that for a second. Jake did not watch this movie with me on the plane.
Nope.
But days later, when we were at Jordan's house, we had an evening where we thought we'd just curl up and watch a movie, all of us. And so we rented Elvis and watched it on the big screen.
Yeah.
in his living room.
Jordan's my brother, and I don't think my parents had seen it either.
No,
so
nobody but me had seen it.
Yeah.
So I had seen it like 2 or 3 days before. And I was like, yes, we can watch that again.
And I was watching sort of over your shoulder from time to time and seeing some of it just visually because I wasn't listening in. And I was really enjoying what I was seeing. So when I got to the end and you would, just meaning that you had loved it at the end. You're like, this is a movie so great. And I was loving the scenes that I was seeing. It's like, okay, well, we have to watch this. And we had the time.
You ruined it!
Sorry.
You told him it was great. I hadn't been there yet. I have to talk about it.
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
Well, the point I was getting to was that Jake hadn't seen it yet. I watched it, and then we watched it all together. So we can talk about it. But immediately, as it's introducing the film, it's going through the credits at the beginning, whatever that is, it was extremely glamorous and colorful and beautiful and bejeweled. And I was like, that's pretty. I like the looks of that.
For those listening, if you had seen The Great Gatsby, which has a similar kind of glamorous-y, shiny intro, it's the same director, Baz Luhrmann. So that's the style of it.
Yeah. So, and then it immediately the story begins, and it starts with Tom Hanks and his character as Colonel Tom Parker, who I had no idea who this guy is.
Who is he?
Colonel Tom Parker was Elvis's manager for like his whole career, pretty much his whole career.
Yeah.
They did a really good job at dressing him up.
He's in a lot of makeup.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you just see the trailers, like his makeup, his bodysuit, his
voice.
Yes, I was going to say that next. Yeah, because Colonel Tom Parker is from Holland. Anyways, I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but immediately I was sucked in just by the opening, and then it also starts off with a lot of music and how Elvis first got into music.
What was his first experiences with music?
His first experience with, now I feel like I'm going to be giving away the story because I feel like I have to explain.
I mean, most people know the general arc of Elvis.
I don't know.
I don't think we're giving away too much of the film.
Okay, well, Elvis's family had to go live in, let's call it the ghetto, the black community. So that was his
it was
introduction.
Well, I was going to say it's deep in a segregated Mississippi South of the, I think, 30s, late 30s.
He was born in 1935.
Remember his Depression era.
It would have been in the 40s, I think, because if he was born in 1935, he looked like he was, I don't know how old he was, but maybe like 12. Something like that? Is that what he sort of looked like in the movie? I'm not quite sure.
But I'm trying to paint the cultural picture for people where it's a deeply segregated South. This is before the civil rights movement, and blacks and whites are, treated vastly differently in the culture.
Well, and you know what's kind of funny about that? I have to say, now that you say that, Elvis's family had to move into the poor white area of that black community. And those people took him in.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Not hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's sad. It's eye-opening to see that they accepted his white family, yet white people couldn't accept black people in any way.
Or black culture.
Yeah. So this just, I didn't really think about that till you said that, and that's really crazy. Anyway, so first of all, there you go. The black culture is, help me.
Vibrant.
Yeah,
alive. There's
talented.
Music, there's community. You look out for each other. You're like your brothers and sisters. And it felt like it. Well, especially amongst children, right? Like I think back to my childhood, and everyone is always just equal. They're just people, and it very much had that feel.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how he was introduced. Like he had seen a guitarist, singer who must have been well known in that community. He was known to the studio that Elvis had first signed on with, and then also with the church, I guess. Gospel. So that's where his gospel rhythm and blues began. Like he was called to it by, I don't want to say it.
Don't say it. Yeah, but it was a music that really hit him. Like,
it was the
in
music,
his soul.
And you know how cool it is to watch black folks in the church and their gospel. They just make I wish I could go to a church like that, because they just actually make it look like fun and inclusive.
You get up and you move like to a rhythm, not just stand up, go down on your knees, put your hands to your head, get back up, sit back down.
Yeah, which is sort of...
you dance, you move. There's no prescribed movement. It's just however the music
makes you feel,
invites you to move.
So that's pretty much how he started, or that's what got him interested. And this is what I'd like us to go research a bit is what happened between that and when he was 19 and he made his first record.
That period when he began learning his instrument and finding his voice. And we should say, too, I think a lot of those early songs that he started with were sort of like traditional folk songs amongst the Black community.
Yeah, that he put a twist on them.
Well, I think every artist did. You know, because I think throughout the movie, you also see different artists coming up in the clubs and they're putting their own twist and spin on the same tunes that everybody knows. And that's the beauty and the joy of it, is sort of, I guess, seeing everybody's individuality expressed through how they interact with these music, these songs. Sorry. We're tired.
Yeah. Sorry for all the ums and stuff, but we're here and we're talking.
Yeah.
So deal with it.
What was the other thing that struck you about? Or
the visual. And then when you finally actually get to see Austin Butler's transformation as Elvis Presley, and actually I think what was more cool, the coolest part of that was his voice.
Yeah.
And how insane he sounded just like Elvis. And he sang everything. He sang just like how I remember Elvis sounds. And I'm blown away. Now, I don't know what this kid sounded like before. So I actually had to go look that up. Like, what?
Yeah, what's his normal voice?
Yeah, what's his normal voice? And, of course, he's, like, working on coming out of his Elvis voice because he worked for 2 years.
It's got to be hard to, like, adopt another persona for 2 years and then drop it and go back to yourself.
Yeah, I personally think he should keep that voice. It sounds pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have also kept the black hair. The black hair was nice.
Yeah, Elvis's hair, especially as a bald man, I am so jealous of Elvis's hair. I wish I could pull that off.
Yeah, and you know what? I never realized that he wore makeup either. Elvis wore makeup.
He had a very flamboyant way of dressing in his early year. Well, I mean, I guess throughout all of them. But,
totally throughout his whole life. But
I think because that first scene he's in that pink suit, and I don't think I ever associated such bold
for
color
that
choices
time
with him.
Especially for that time too. I'm surprised.
50s? Late 50s?
It would have been in 50s when he when he was first getting
maybe
into
early 50s? I don't know.
From what I am recalling from the movie and the timeline, I'm trying to keep it straight, but that's what I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so between the music, the transformation, the visual effects, just it's so dramatic and theatrical. And
on that note, can we discuss the greatness of the scene when he first plays in that hall?
You can't, because we can't tell people what it is. Just trust us and go watch it. I don't want to give that away. It
introduces Elvis's hips. That's all I'm going to say. And it's done in such a hilarious way. And I think that was one of the first times that, like, my eyes drifted over to your screen, because I sort of knew, like, because you know the broad story of Elvis, and well, at least I knew the broad story of Elvis, and I saw that scene, and I thought it was such a hilarious way to introduce the controversy of his hips, and we'll leave it at that. But it made me laugh, even without hearing it, just watching it.
Yeah, and it actually, it's crazy because he gets in trouble for the way that he dances. Mm-hmm. He gets in trouble for the way that he dances, and can you imagine the way that people dance now? It's just,
and it kind of makes sense when you see the way the other acts that they show are performing, where they're just kind of these
boring.
I mean, the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic show has more movement than those guys. They're just these little stick figures standing on a microphone, strumming a guitar, and like, what are you doing? Where's the energy? Where's the...
Yeah, so for like maybe the first half of the movie, it's super... the whole thing is exciting, but the first half is happy and exciting, and inviting, like, oh, what's gonna happen,
Well, you're drawn in by his charisma and his, I guess, uniqueness,
yeah,
right? I think the film did a really good job of, I think, presenting Elvis's love for music and then convincing you that you should love it as much as him. And you just kind of fall in love with what he's doing and standing for and going after.
yeah, putting the standing for, because people loved his music besides knowing what he did, and he's still, what did the end credits say? He was to this day the highest selling artist, album, something. We'd have to go look that up. Yeah. And I think at one point he said he never felt like he did anything with his life. He never made an impact.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that part. That makes me
I may
sad.
have read that after, though.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of reading after, but so without trying to give away too much, it's also a very, very depressing story, because he gets so manipulated by people around him and tricked into things that he thought he was benefiting him, and turns out, it ends up benefiting others more than him, and then he's just trapped in the end. And then we all know how he passed.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, and it's so fucking sad.
Well, to me, when I think of, after watching that movie and now I think of his career, it feels like he broke out and became known for performing this music that he loved. And I think that's a theme that keeps coming up throughout the movie, because later he gets pushed into different areas and trying different types of music and things and goes to Hollywood and all this. But he just loved playing that music that he grew up on. The stuff that got him started, that got him noticed. He loved to just get out on the stage and just dance and wiggle and move and play and sing and just let his heart open up and fill a room and inspire an audience.
I think that's a good message, because, yeah, he was being told not to do this, not to do that. It's perverted. It's vulgar. It's the devil's whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think the message here is that, and he did a really good job at teaching us this, is to do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
And don't listen to other people.
And I don't think I ever understood sorry.
No, yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah. I think what became apparent to me was the consequence he was willing to face.
Yes.
In order to express himself. He's like, I'm willing to get arrested, get in trouble, because I am not going to sacrifice who I am and what I love. Mm-hmm. And I think the sad part was that, he kind of gets strung along with like this carrot on a stick. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you can go do that thing you really want to do if you just do this first. Yeah. There was kind of this always, if you just do this, then you can do that. But, he would do the thing, and it's, well, there's always just one more thing you got to do before you can do what you love.
Well, and the wild thing there, too, is so in the early days, yes, he got in trouble for the music and the dancing, because it was like
provocative
black culture too, and he was all for integration, and he had many, many black friends, and it's kind of funny that that's how it was at the beginning, and then later on in his career is when it was okay. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, it's okay now. Like, black people are finally getting their turn, and and integration is happening, and it's becoming one, and it's weird to see. It would be weird to live.
And it was sad to me how he wanted to participate in that and lend his voice to that whole civil rights movement, but he was constantly steered away from that. again, by managers and corporate interests and all of these other
Government.
people. Yeah, who were kind of like, no, you're Elvis. You don't talk about that stuff. And he's like, what are you talking
You're
about?
not
Like,
a
that's
voice. You're
like,
not a voice.
that's what I grew up in. You know, I grew up in an environment that, you know, basically disproved or just went against all of the segregation rules, right? Like, he's a white kid in a black community, and he became a part of it. Fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Had friends there. I didn't know he was friends with B.B. King. And came up with him either. That was super cool to learn.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool. But anyhow, how did that make you feel, I guess, at the end after taking in that story? And
well, it really inspired me to like I'm really sorry. It's tough to think about. And we've talked about this already quite a few times on our own, and it's with my brains right now are a bit scrambled, but I was inspired to do more of my own thing, which I've been working towards, but also doing it because there's sometimes with some of my artwork that I worry about how it's going to be taken, and it every time after when it's out there, nothing happens, and I think, how stupid am I for thinking, like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And if this makes me feel good, then what? Why? Stop. Don't worry about it. And also, I've talked about a lot about distractions lately. You know, having the TV on, having something on, or always doing other things to keep me distracted from what I actually really want to do, because that's just how life has gone for like my whole life, pretty much. You know, TV and stuff, but looking back at how it used to be, you know, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, we didn't have all that shit. So we had more time, or we cared about doing other things. And I always say I want to be like that, but I never make the change to do it. So I think that it's just really inspired me to do more of that.
Yeah.
Motivated.
Less consumption, more creation.
Exactly. How did it make you feel?
It made me feel like a huge part of the role of the artist in society is to just stand up and represent whatever you're about, just regardless of consequence, regardless of, you know, what the culture expects or wants. I think as a photographer, I struggled a lot in receiving advice on how to like market myself or put myself out there or represent myself on social media. There's so many people who say you have to do this or you got to do that, and this is the way that you get all of these numbers, and here's how you attract all these things and blah, blah, blahs. And I think every time I've encountered those rules, I understand it, I think, from an audience perspective, if I think of myself as a consumer. But when I think of myself as a creator, and I go, I don't agree, because I want to explore, I want to stretch, I want to do things in this style and then see if I can do it in that style. Maybe, you know, I want to shoot some family stuff for a while, then I want to go shoot some nature things, and then I want to do this, and I don't have time to run 800 different accounts that are all these specific niches. I just want to be me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be boxed in. And I think I took that great inspiration from Elvis there, where he was saying, I'm not going to be boxed in. I want to be me. This is what I'm about. This is the stuff that I enjoy. I'm going to share that with you. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, cool.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it kind of just reinforced that to me, because I think for a lot of times I felt that was the wrong attitude, or somehow that was not going to lead me to success. or the success I want, or the, even just the artistic satisfaction of it, regardless of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I noticed how much he did stuff that was mostly for whatever he loved. And he knew if he loved it, then his audience would love it. And that was his guiding compass. And it led him to spectacular success. And then you see the way with which, he sort of succumbed to the machine of the industry. And I think it made me even a little more guarded, and inspired me to protect my vision and my approach to what I do and how I do it, because it was really sad to see such a powerful creative force just extinguished.
Yeah.
By the machine of industry.
And people.
Yeah.
People you thought he trusted. Like he really trusted. And it's just keeping that in mind. Mm-hmm. To, you can allow people to help you, but don't forget that this is your life. Read every contract, that any piece of paper that comes in front of your face, because you have no idea what's in there.
That's true.
But yeah.
Yeah. But overall, fantastic story.
So good that I watched it 2.5 times in 5 days.
She watched it on the flight back to Calgary as well.
I fell asleep, but
Not
I loved
because
it.
It was boring. No, because we were wiped out.
Yeah. Loved it. Want to know more about Elvis and his personal story.
Yeah. And we want to take a trip to Graceland.
Yeah.
I think I never wanted to go there, and now I've seen that movie, and I really want to go there.
For sure.
I have that book that I have upstairs, Annie Leibovitz, her photography book of American music. The cover, I think, is an Elvis record, and within there are a couple pictures that she took of Graceland. I think it was like the Jungle Room.
Oh, yeah.
Was one of them.
That's cool.
In there. And I thought that was such a cool way for her to photograph Elvis, even though he was gone before her career began. And I love also that she included him, and I think it's a photograph of one of his records that is the cover.
Okay.
That wraps
I didn't realize
the whole book.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I'll go show you when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, if you haven't seen Elvis, if you don't know the Elvis story, highly recommend checking out that film.
Yeah, and claps to everybody involved in that movie. Boz, Austin Butler, you're awesome. I'm excited to see. Yeah, Tom Hanks. Fantastic. He's got a lot going on right now. But Tom Hanks has always been a favorite. So,
yeah. All right.
I wanted to punch him in the face, though, but that wasn't him.
But that's a sign of his great acting. Because so often you just want to give him a hug in his movies. And
I could have probably.
That he can be a little evil and kind of make you.
I could have gutted him, killed, done. You don't treat Elvis that way. Okay, anyways.
All right.
Thanks
for listening.
For checking in. We'll check in with you another time.
We got a shout out, though. A big thank you to our first patron on Patreon. Shout out to Mama Warren.
Oh my God. Thank you, Mom.
Leading the way. Yeah. If you want to support us, there's links in the descriptions and such and such. But we just love sharing with you. Share this if you like it. Go see Elvis. Talk to you later.
Bye.